Hello Techies, welcome back to our channel UiPath by Sujitha. In this video, we are going to explore on generic value variables. These are nothing but, generic value is nothing but a special data type, proprietary variable data type of UiPath exclusively available in UiPath only. Okay, so it has a special powers. Okay, let us see what it is and how to use generic value variables. Now quickly make a note of what you are taking away from this video, at least on a high level. So just open your notepad or take a notebook and pen, make a notes of this. Generic value, the name itself conveys it better, right? Generic, the most generic. So that means why we use, first of all, a small question, a quick question. Why we use a data type? What is the need of data type? Data type explains the type of data which is going to be stored in the variable. Variable we use to store any data. What kind of data to be stored in the variable is explained by a data type, right? Say for example, integer, string, double, boolean, array, dictionary, all these comes under data types. So each data type has its own criteria. Say for example, integer, int 32. That means the variable of integer data type will allow only the data of type integer. That means only the integer values can be stored in the variable which has integer as data type. The same way, if the variable is of string data type, so the variable will contain a data type of string value. That's it. Now, if I don't know what might be the result of my the activity, so I don't know what kind of data I'm going to store in the variable, so I'm capturing the value of my results. Say for example, I'm just capturing some data from any API or from any element from the any activity, say from the user input dialog. So I don't know which kind of data I might receive. So in such cases, I need to capture the data, store the data into a variable, but I don't know which kind of data type it might be. So in such cases, we need a special power, a Superman or Spider-Man kind of data type, right? This is nothing but generic value data type. So UiPath exclusively providing a special powered data type which can store all kinds of data into the variable which has this kind of data type. So this is nothing but generic value. If we create a variable of generic value data type, we can store any kind of data into that particular variable. Okay, so this is clear, right? So quickly make a note of what we have listened so far. Make your own notes on a highlighted way. Okay, so generic value is UiPath proprietary, I think this is correct spelling, proprietary data type which can store any kind of data. Say for example, integer, double, string or date, whatever might be, boolean. So any kind of data can be captured, stored in this particular data type. So it has that much special powers. then why we use some other specific data types? So what is the use of int, string, date, other, right? We can all together we can go with the same, right? No. If we keep on using the same generic data type variables, it will affect the performance of the automation. Okay, so we'll talk about this later in our coming videos with proper examples, but for now, as a basic knowledge, keep this in mind. Also, we are going to cover more points on this generic value variable data type. Okay, so now, uh, so when to use? So when to use? When we are not sure on the type of data the variable contains. Okay, so can we use this many times? No, only on temporary basis. Say for example, when we are converting one kind of data to other kind of data, for time being you can convert it to generic and then from generic to that particular data. Or when we don't know which kind of data you are going to receive, in such cases for temporary purpose you can have a generic value variable and then convert it to the specific int or double or string kind of variables. Okay, so next, can we perform any what to say, if it is in string or if it is in integers, we can perform some logical operations, right? Can we perform such operations on this data on this particular data type? Yes. Then how our executor, how robo or bot come to know about this operation? Say for example, if you take two generic value variables, you will be giving some 100 and 200 into those variables. Then how come how to convey to executor that these two values are integers? We don't know, right? How it is going to behave, how it is going to calculate when we say a plus b equals to. We'll see that in live now demo. Okay, so let me say, can we perform operations, logical operations on generic value variables? Yes, let me show you that. And before that, how to create a generic value variable. You know, you might have already watched our variables video, right? If you have not yet, please watch our video. Also, if you like our videos, please do like and share with your friends and colleagues. A small request from you all, please subscribe the channel and support the channel for channel growth. Thank you so much for the support so far, and please do support the same way. Okay, so let us continue this. So let us move on to our practice session. Just open your studio along with me. My sincere advice to you is, if you just watch the videos and if you just leave it as it is, the concept what you have learned may not be stored in your primary memory. Just practice along with me so that you will never forget about this, or if whenever time comes during your work, you will definitely use this concept. Okay, not only this, whatever videos you are watching. Okay, fine, let's move on to this. I have created a separate sequence and I renamed it. Now I'm going to add a annotation to this. So what we are going to do is, we are performing some calculations on generic value variables to understand how the executor will perform these operations. Okay, so what we are going to do now, let us have two generic variables. I can say generic first, and then I can say generic second. Okay, so now I am going to change this to generic. For that, just browse for types, browse for types and just type generic. It's taking time to load. Yeah. So just scroll down. Generic value. Generic value. It's not okay. Let me rename this. It's too slow. Yes, a generic value. This is under UiPath.core. Okay, so just select this. Fine. Now you could see this in your variable type drop down. Okay, so now we have created two variables, generic value variables. One is first and the other one is second. Okay, okay. Now what we are going to do is, okay, let us create one more, that is generic value final. Okay, or I can say that result. Okay, let me remove this extra space. Okay, and convert this to generic. Okay, now let us play with these variables. First, what we are going to do is, I'm going to assign some value to it. So for that, go to activities panel and use some to assign activities. One for assign gen first, and then second for assign second. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, gen first and gen second. So let us give some values here. I'm going to give 100 and here 200. Now take one more assign activity, gen final or result, right? Gen result. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use plus operator. Plus gen second. Okay, so let me log this result as info. The result is gen result, right? Let us see how it is going to work. Okay, so what we are going to do, we are performing using plus operator on two variables. What we have passed? What we passed, 100 and 200 we have passed. Let us see what is the result. Run file. Just go to output panel and you could see the result is 300. So it has considered this value as an integer. I have not declared it as an integer, right? Even though it is not declared as integer, based on the data you provided to this particular variable, it has considered that as an integer. Now, when you use plus operator, it has calculated it has added these two values and gave a result, right? Now let us do some magic. with this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm keeping this 100 between, yes, let me do some, yeah. So now as if I'm passing a string, let us see how it behaves. So what is the result in this? Let me copy this back to our, yeah, let me copy this back to our, just for our understanding, for recap. Okay, so the result is this one. Now second one, what we are going to do, use the same operator but values we are passing as string values, right? So giving inside inverted commas. Now let's see how it behaves. Fine. I hope you are practicing along with me. So we need to understand these magical concepts for more grip towards the data type. It seems to be very simple, but when you start working on it, on when time comes, we may, even though we are 20 or 30 years of experience in coding, we may end up with confusion. So to avoid that, it is always a good practice to learn to have a solid foundation. So see here, now first 100 and 200. What is the result? Can anyone guess? 100 concatenated with 200. So the two variables been concatenated, the values been concatenated, right? So one after the other. What is the difference? Based on the value we provided, it is going to consider it as the integer or a string. Because we have kept this in commas, inverted commas, it has, the executor has it has considered the value, it has considered the data type as string. So when we use plus symbol between two strings, what happens in general? It will concatenate, right? Same thing been happened here, right? So let me quickly copy this. I'll show you something else now. Just let me use one more example, that is variables. What I'm going to do, I'm going to write. So instead of 100, I'm passing Sujitha. I can say UiPath by, I can say Sujitha. Okay. So you can guess this, right? What happens now? It will concatenate. Let us see. Meanwhile, let us add what we have passed here. We have passed, let me go back. We have passed UiPath by and then Sujitha. Now let us go back. It has already executed, right? It has concatenated. So you got the difference, right? Even though we have passed integer values here, since that we kept it in inverted commas, it has concatenated, right? Even though the value inside these inverted commas is not a string, I mean, it's not a, is an integer, it is not going to perform the addition, right? It is just concatenating as if it is the characters. So let me copy this. Okay. Now last but not the least, let us try something now. So I am going to try something here. Fine, Sujitha, when we pass some integers, it has considered as a integer and given 300 as a result. And when we pass it through some inverted commas, the executor considered it as a string and it has concatenated. Fine. Now, what if we pass a string and a integer, how it behaves. So what I'm going to do is UiPath by, I'm keeping it as it is. Instead of this, I'm going to just pass 100. That's it. Let us see. Okay, I'm just sending this one and this one. Now let us see. So one, it is going to this is clear, right? When we keep this as, when we pass the value as a string, it's going to consider this as a string. When we pass this as an integer, it is considering as an integer. Now let us see how this plus operator is going to work. Run file. So if you could see here, the result is UiPath 100. That means it has considered this as string and the second value also as string. Notice the difference, right? It is considered the first value as string and concatenated the second value to this string using this plus operator, right? Now let us quickly go back to our notepad and let us make what we have understood. It is first value we have passed as UiPath and second value we just passed integer. So what is the result? What we got? The result is, let me copy it from the UiPath. So here if you see, this is our result, right? Just copy this result and then paste it in our notepad. So this is our understanding. So let us consider one more final one for better understanding on its behavior. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to use this, I'm just doing this ulta. Okay, so what I'm doing, I am passing this first value 100 and second value as UiPath. Okay, understood, right? So let us go back to our UiPath. So instead of the first value UiPath in Studio, I'm passing it as 100 and the second value as UiPath. Second value as UiPath. Notice the difference, right? First value is direct integer I passed and second value I passed as string. Now let us check how it works. I'm not changing this operator, just to understand the behavior of the generic value variable. We are trying these many scenarios. Okay, so let us see the output here now. Let me go back to the studio. See, it's saying cannot add system int 32 to string. Why? It can throw this why it has thrown this exception. It can concatenate 100 with UiPath, right? 100 next UiPath. Why it is not taking this? It is not able to perform this operator. Why? Because we got this exception. Let me first copy this exception and then I'll conclude what is the reason behind this. Okay, so this is what been given. So now if you could see here, let us just go back. First value, always, if you noticed all these 5 scenarios, always the operation what we have taken, the plus operator, it is working according to the first value, the first variable value. Okay, when the first value, forget about the second one, when the first value is integer, it is considered the first value and then based on the second value it is performing. If the second value is also the integer, then it is able to perform the plus operator, right? Addition operation. Next, first value, if it is a string, it is expecting another string or an integer, because based on the first value only it is going to perform. If the first value is integer, it is doing some addition. If the first value is a string, it is doing a concatenation. If the first value is a string, it is doing a concatenation irrespective of the second value. Even though if it is an integer or a string, it is always performing a concatenation based on the first value. Okay. So always the executor first reads the first value, and based on that value it is able to start looking for, right? Since the first value is integer, it is looking for one more integer to perform the plus operator. Since the first value is a string, it is always looking for one more string to concatenate, right? So always it is the operation, the executor operates, consider the plus operator as addition or concatenation based on the first value which is given to the generic variable, generic value variable. Got it? So please make a note of what we have understood. So two things here to remember. The plus operator is interpreted as concatenation in case of strings and addition in case of int 32. And also one more point, please make a note. When plus operator is used between generic value variables, it is interpreted based on the value of the first variable. This is what we have observed in the fourth and fifth scenarios. It is interpreting based on the first value of the variable. First value, it is UiPath, that is in string. That means it is considering concatenation. Whereas here it is considering addition. Because it is not able to add 100 with UiPath, it is throwing that exception. I hope you got a clear understanding on this generic value variable, which is very exclusive in UiPath to perform all our operations, right? So let us continue this generic value variable with few more few more operations in our coming videos. So for now, on a basic level, this foundation is enough. Let us let us continue the same through some other video. If you like this video, please give a like and share with your friends and colleagues. For more videos from this channel, please do subscribe our channel. Meet you through our next videos. Until then, happy learning and happy automating. Bye bye.